You Are Arthur is quite a different episode of Arthur. This is the second segment in the fifth episode of the fifth season, and it starts off with Arthur saying, "Why don't we see life from each other's perspective?" And I thought, okay, where are you going with this? And the rest of the episode unfolds pretty much from Arthur's perspective. And actually it's done quite cleverly, because while we've got this point of view from Arthur's eyes, we do still see Arthur. We see his reflection in mirrors and in windows, and it's quite cleverly done. But there are a few times when we see Arthur's full body when there are flashbacks, and I feel like that's really jarring, and I feel like it really pulls out of the moment. And I can understand why they did it, but I just don't think it worked very well. And honestly, I can see what they were doing. They were having fun with this. It was a creative approach. It was a different perspective, a different way of looking at an episode. But at the same time, I personally just didn't really like seeing from Arthur's eyes. The actual narrative isn't that interesting either. Arthur had signed up for a 3K race that he'd forgotten about the day of the race arrives, and he shows some admirable quality involving Muffy. I won't say any more than that, but it had a nice message to it. But the actual events in the episode were not that interesting. It seemed like a bit of a gimmick, to be honest. And, if other people love this whole seeing things from Arthur's eyes, if they find it interesting or different, then, well, it is different. But if they find it fun, I have no problem with that. But for me personally, I just found it really jarring, and it was just clunky. And yeah, it was cleverly done at times when we got to see Arthur's reflection, but I think the whole thing just wasn't that good. And then you couple that with the pretty dull narrative, but ultimately with a good message. It's definitely not my favourite episode, to say the very least.